From Saturday morning cartoons to cereal company mascots, the concept of a trickster has been woven into contemporary American pop culture. But the mythology of the trickster is far more complicated and universal. If you're new to my videos, I'm a former mythology teacher and an author. My magic realism series, the Dreamcatcher Chronicles, is set in central Minnesota, and my cast of characters come from diverse backgrounds, such as the Oceti-Sakowin, the Sioux, the Anishinaabe, or Chippewa, and Norse and Judeo-Christian cultures. For my third book, I chose the metaphor of the trickster, and this video will give some background on the trickster legends, especially those from the Big Woods cultures. The first culture we'll examine is the Anishinaabe portrayal of the trickster. From Nova Scotia to Minnesota, there are many regional portrayals and just as many names. Whether Nanabush, Manabozho, Hiawatha, or Glooscap, there are a few common characteristics. First, the character is a deity made flesh, whether in the form of a giant, a shapeshifter, or holding the appearance of a normal man. When not in human form, the rabbit was a common shape. Another common trait is that the character is often sent to help or teach mankind. For the Micmac people, Glooscap crossed the Atlantic on the backs of turtles, and the giant helped shape the land and also teach the people. A more modern twist involves a confrontation of giants, Glooscap and Paul Bunyan. Henry Schoolcraft's accounts feature Hiawatha, a retelling of older legends featuring Manabozho tales that was retold again by Longfellow. Even though these tales might have lost a bit of their authenticity, they nevertheless capture a trickster legend. Hiawatha goes on adventures, often humorous in nature. Yet he also faces darker forces. A central aspect is his relationship with Minnehaha, a Dakota maiden whose name means laughing water. Hiawatha is a hero of the Anishinaabe people, whose traditional enemies were the Dakota. So in this version of the tale, it's a bit Romeo and Juliet. Another trickster in Anishinaabe lore is Ayash. Like the Hiawatha stories, his adventures are teaching opportunities. Since my novels are set at Lake Manitou, any tales with water spirits or water monsters definitely drew my attention. The tale of Ayash and the Horned Serpent has the boy ignoring the advice of his elders, typical teenagers, right? And he finds himself on a forbidden island. The problem isn't the island, it's the horned serpent swimming off its channel. Faced with certain death, Ayash tricks the horned serpent by bringing up its arch-enemy, the Thunderbird. Ayash coyly serves as a lookout for the horned serpent. Not only does Ayash use the horned serpent to cross back to shore, but he secretly allies himself with the Thunderbirds, and he tricks the horned serpent into shallow water, where it was unable to hide from its mortal enemies. For indigenous cultures in the West, the shape-shifting trickster often took on the forms of a coyote or a speedy rabbit. But for the Oceti-Sakowin, their trickster figure was Iktomi, whose form often took the shape of a spider. Iktomi's traits differ from region to region. As a god of mischief, his goal often was to make others look ridiculous. But in other tales, he is a god of wisdom and displays integrity. His complex personality is rooted in his parentage, which traces back to honorable creator gods as well as scandal. Although the Dakota character of Wishwe is not a trickster, his epic journey ends with the young warrior facing a nebulous evil known as No Soul, who just so happens to be a wily shapeshifter. Across the Atlantic, the Norse had a very similar god to Iktomi in the form of Loki. Like Iktomi, Loki has complex parentage, a union of two enemies. As a result, his personality has massive inconsistencies. He can be charming and wise one moment, and then treacherous and manipulative the next. Like other trickster legends, Loki is also a shapeshifter. While other gods like Iktomi are associated with creation, in Norse mythology, Loki is a catalyst for the events of Ragnarok. As goes Loki, so goes the world. And knowing this, Odin tries to steer Loki to good ends for as long as he can. In the Middle East, there are several ancient examples of tricksters. The Babylonians, for example, had Enki, who is often portrayed as a loving and caring god who uses his wisdom to try to make the best of every situation. For the Egyptians, their trickster had a much darker nature. Seth's trick results in the murder of his brother Osiris. Biblically, there are no perfect trickster figures. Satan certainly shows the same characteristics of being initially good, as he is placed in the garden, yet his trickery with the tree of knowledge reveals his evil qualities. Shape-shifting can be seen with Jesus, I suppose, whose eternal nature begins as the Word, then presents himself as the pillar of fire as Moses' best friend. In Bethlehem, the Christ takes on human form, and as an adult, Jesus reveals his true, form during the Transfiguration. John is shown yet another form that will be revealed during the end times. Jesus also takes on the role of being a shepherd to humanity, which is similar to the way Glooscap or Manabozho taught key life lessons. J.R.R. Tolkien transferred these qualities to his character Gandalf, but his character Gollum perfectly exhibits trickster characteristics with Smeagol, whose duplicitous nature serves the greater good. Finally, nature has its own trickster, the raven, who can mock human language, steal camp items, and can also be harbingers of death. For this reason, I chose the raven as the cover for my third novel, to portray the symbolism of the trickster, who, whether good or bad, serves to do what needs to be done to bring the world, or in my case, the series, towards its final conclusion.